You know, there's a part of the tennis court that almost everyone's afraid of. It's completely misunderstood. But what if I told you it's actually the most important piece of real estate in the modern game? All right, let me ask you something. If you play tennis, what's that one spot on the court? You know the one that you've been told to avoid like the plague. The place you feel totally exposed?
Yeah, for pretty much forever, the answer has been right there, in the middle of the court. Coaches just drill it into your head, right? Do not get caught in no man's land. It's seen as this black hole of indecision, a trap where the ball is always at your feet.
But what if all that is just wrong? Seriously, what if the modern data, the biomechanics, and the strategies of the world's best players tell us the exact opposite? That this so-called danger zone is actually the launch pad for winning points.
And that is exactly what we're going to break down. It's time to completely rethink no man's land and start seeing it for what it truly is, a zone of opportunity.
Look, the hard data tells a pretty incredible story. Analytics from pro matches show that when a point is just a baseline slugfest, it's basically a coin flip, a 50-50 shot. But the second a player successfully moves forward to attack, whoa, their chance of winning skyrockets to over 65%. The numbers don't lie, folks. Moving forward flat out works.
So here's the crucial thing. We have got to rename it. Let's just stop calling it no man's land. Let's start calling it what it actually is, the transition zone. See, it's not a place you get stuck in. It's a pathway you move through to shift from defense to offense and really take control.
Okay, so how do we actually use this zone? Well, it all starts with that first move forward, the approach shot. This is your ticket to turning an opponent's weak shot into your biggest advantage.
So when do you pull the trigger? How do you really start the attack? Well, it's not just about seeing a short ball and wailing on it. Nope. Research on elite players shows their brains are like supercomputers under all that pressure, processing tons of tiny cues, the opponent's position, the ball's trajectory, to make that split-second decision to move in.
And you can really break it down into a simple checklist. First, you've got to identify that short ball. That's your trigger. Second, you have to choose the right footwork to move in aggressively. Third, and this is so important, you drive through the ball, not just at it, getting all your body weight moving forward. And fourth, and this is the one people always forget, you don't stop. You follow that shot to the net and you close down the space.
But hitting that perfect approach brings you face-to-face with maybe the single toughest challenge in all of tennis, mastering the low ball. So let's get into the actual science behind the half volley and the low volley.
Just picture it. You've done everything right. You hit a deep, powerful approach shot. You're moving in with confidence. And your opponent just manages to dip the ball right at your shoelaces. That moment, right there, that is what separates the good players from the truly great ones. Okay, first, a quick baseline for us. A standard volley is just any shot where you hit the ball out of the air before it bounces. Simple enough? But the half volley, that's a different beast entirely. It's a reactive, often defensive shot where you hit the ball just after it bounces. Think of it like you're trying to scoop the ball right off the ground with your racket. It takes absolutely incredible timing and feel.
And you can really see here how subtle but critical the differences are. For a low volley, you're making contact before the bounce, with a short, compact swing and a really low, stable base. For a half volley, contact is after the bounce, with almost no backswing at all. Your body has to get incredibly low in a purely reactive move. They might look similar, but biomechanically, they are worlds apart.
So how on earth do players control these shots? Well, it's all about this concept called the kinematic chain. Think of your body like a whip. The power doesn't come from just your arm. It starts from the ground up. Efficient players transfer energy through their legs, their core, into their shoulder, and then finally out to the racket. For these low-touch shots, it's a quiet, efficient transfer of energy, not a big, explosive one. And this gets to the real science of what we call touch. It's not magic. It's pure biomechanics. Players with great touch aren't swinging fast. They're actually slowing the racket down for maximum control over the racket face. They're not creating their own pace. They're absorbing and redirecting their opponent's pace using coordinated movements from their entire body. Okay, let's zoom back out, because these incredible shots don't just exist in a vacuum. They're all part of a much larger strategy. This is really about how the best players in the world build winning patterns.
Here's the secret, really. The whole purpose of a great approach shot isn't to hit a winner.
Not at all. The goal is to make your next shot, that first volley, as easy as possible. You are hitting a strategic shot that forces your opponent into giving you a weak, predictable reply that you can then easily volley away into the open court.
And there's probably no better example than Novak Djokovic. As tennis analysts often point out, his approach game is like a game of chess. He isn't just hitting a short ball, he's hitting it to a specific spot, often the deep backhand corner, that he knows will produce a high percentage defensive reply. He's already moving to intercept that reply before his opponent even hits.
This is the pattern. It's a simple, beautiful 1-2 punch. You force the short ball, you attack a specific target, you anticipate the likely response, and then you execute the easy volley. It's a repeatable play that turns that scary transition zone into a point-winning machine.
So bringing all this together, what it really comes down to is a fundamental shift in how you think. It's about adopting the transition mindset. It's not a place on the court, it's a process.
All right, so here are the key takeaways. First, the midcourt is the transition zone. It's a place to attack from, not to fear. Second, remember that a smart approach shot is the key that unlocks the whole point. Third, those tough, low balls are won with control and technique, not brute force. And finally, elite tennis is all about building these repeatable, strategic patterns.
Ultimately, mastering this transition game is about being proactive. It's about seeing that short ball and having the courage and the strategy to move forward, to dictate play, and to impose your will on the point before your opponent even has a chance.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As tennis shots get bigger and faster, is the next real evolution of the game not some new kind of spin or a more powerful serve, but maybe, just maybe, it's the mastery of movement through this one critical, misunderstood, and opportunity-filled space on the court.